Hey guys, this is Jason. I'm reviewing Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, directed by Christopher McQuarrie, and is considered to be the final film in the Mission Impossible franchise, or so they say. In this film, Ethan has the key that'll help him find the Entity, a rogue AI that has the power to control the whole world, and he has to once again team up with his IMF team to find the Entity before it decides to take over everything, making every state and country helpless. If you guys have been watching my channel recently, then you know that I love most of the Mission Impossible films, minus the second one, and I reviewed a lot of them leading up to this film, except for Dead Reckoning because I already did a review for that 2 years ago. And this was one of my most anticipated films of the year. I was super excited for this film because every other film that came out before this was hit after hit after hit. So of course I was excited to see this film, and I wanted to not only be awesome, but give us a very satisfying finale. And was it satisfying? Not quite. Now, I still enjoyed it. I do think it's a good movie, but it unfortunately has some issues. Let me talk about the stuff that I liked first, because there is still a lot that I liked here, like the action and chase sequences, and some of the stunts that Tom Cruise gets himself in are top notch. They are still the highlights of this film and are easily worth seeing on the big screen. It still has a lot of the tension and suspense that we love from these films, and they still build up a lot of that, giving us some great scenes, like one scene with Ethan on a plane that is very suspenseful, and before that Ethan has to go underwater in freezing water at that, where he has to go inside this abandoned submarine to find this one room that'll help him find the Entity, and there are a bunch of missiles around him, and Ethan has to watch every missile around him to make sure that not only he doesn't get crushed, but to make sure that whatever he touches doesn't explode, to the point where you see him trying to get to this one place and a missile's in the way. You're thinking to yourself, please don't blow up, please don't blow up, please don't blow up. This movie does have some emotional moments, and since this is the last one, that is kind of expected. Like, when it happened, I almost felt a little teary-eyed. Like, it was a big moment that made me feel a little emotional. The way they use the Entity in this film is still terrifying, just like the last film was, and it still gets you the feeling that, like, this could actually happen in real life. And when you would tell someone that something like this is a big threat in this film in the 2000s, they would say, that's stupid, that's not realistic, it sounds like it came out of a cartoon. But with AI nowadays, and you look at this film now, you're like, yeah, I can see that kind of happening in real life. But then we get to the main part of the story, where we see Ethan is trying to get the Entity from Gabriel, and unfortunately, that's where I get to my issues. Now, just to be clear, I'm not saying that this movie's bad. I still liked it. I still think this is a good movie, but unfortunately, it's a very mixed movie for me. Like, for one, the story isn't all that interesting. It's still like a story where you have a certain AI that's plotting to take over the world and rule everything while humanity is on their knees. That sounds very familiar. Now, the other Mission Impossible films had predictable plots before, like Fallout, even though that's my favorite Mission Impossible film. Like, the plot involved a lot of plutonium, and it was being used to blow up certain places in the world. That one isn't very different. But the reason I can give that movie a pass is because not only that film has great action sequences, but it had characters that made me care about them in horrible situations. This movie has some of that, but unfortunately, this movie doesn't have a lot of that for me to care about what's going on. And what replaces most of that is that this movie unfortunately relies heavily on the previous Mission Impossible films that came out before this, which is kind of expected because you gotta have like some small callbacks to the other films just to make this feel like this is it, this is the last one. But this movie has too much of that, where this movie has a lot of flashbacks to those films, and it felt very distracting, and it really overstayed its welcome. And every time they did it, I'm like, okay, no, can we focus on the main story, please? And unfortunately, those caused the film to be long. This movie is 2 hours and 50 minutes, and you can feel it, not just for the flashbacks, but for some other scenes in the middle of the film where Ethan has to talk to these guys about getting him underwater to get to the submarine, which that one takes a lot of time as well. And despite the fact that I love the action in this film, it's unfortunately toned down for some of the other stuff that happens for the flashbacks and for some of the other things that relate to the plot. So the scenes where Ethan is talking to these guys about going underwater and the IMF talking to this other character for help and the flashbacks, I think this film should have toned down a lot of those and trim those out. There are some character decisions that just really didn't make sense to me, like one in the beginning involving a character with a sledgehammer that felt really out of character to me, or when the main team have to figure out how to get Gabriel. Like, the way they do that in the finale just didn't make any sense to me. It felt unrealistic. And this movie has a lot of decisions like that. Like, they would have characters that were enemies in the last film but are now all of a sudden members of the IMF here. There's also a big twist with one of the characters in the film that is supposed to be important, but it doesn't really do anything with that. It's just mentioning, like, oh, so that's who that character is supposed to be. Moving on, then there's the way it ends, which no spoilers, of course, but the way it ends didn't feel all that satisfying. There was some satisfaction, but it didn't feel like an emotional ending. It didn't feel like it had a lot of finality to it. It's just that when you watch this ending, you're like, oh, so that's how this film ends. Well, time to go on about my day. And this is supposed to be the last one, or at least that's how they marketed it, but they didn't really do a whole lot to make it feel that way. Now, I know what I've been saying does sound like that this movie's bad, but it's not. I still think it's a good movie. It's still a fun watch in the theater. I do recommend watching it. Like, Ethan, Benji, and Luther are still some of the best characters in this franchise, and I still like Grace as well. Tom Cruise still has some great stunts that are worth watching on the big screen. Gabriel is an okay villain, even though he does kind of come off as a very cartoony villain at times. It has great action sequences, it's still worth watching on the big screen, and I do think it is a good movie. But when you compare it to the other films that came out before this, where a lot of them were top tier, we expected more than just good. We expected this to be awesome. I mean, I can at least say it's better than Mission Impossible 2. That one for me is still the bad one in the franchise. I do want to buy it on Blu-ray. I do want to watch it again, but unfortunately, this is the one film in the franchise that is still a mixed bag, where it has a lot of great moments, but a lot of not so great moments as well. But if you are a fan of this franchise, I do recommend seeing it. You don't have to listen to what I say. If you want to see it, then go see it. I am recommending it. Just don't expect it to be as good as the others. I'm gonna give Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning a B, which that is kind of a disappointing grade, but I still enjoyed it. I do want to add it to my Blu-ray collection, but it's of course unfortunately not one of the best films in the franchise. But now that that film's out, it feels like it's an end of an era. This franchise started with the first film in '96, and now that it's over in 2025, so it's gonna feel weird seeing more films and not knowing that a Mission Impossible film is coming out, unless Hollywood decides to make another film in like 5 or 10 years that's supposed to have a new cast and bring new life to the franchise. I mean, Hollywood has done that before. So guys, if you have seen The Final Reckoning, what do you think about it? Do you think it's a satisfying finale, or do you think that this is worse than Mission Impossible 2? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see more of my reviews for my Mission Impossible films, I do have a playlist of all the films I have reviewed on my channel, so I'll leave a link in the description below for that playlist. And as always, if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing, because it helps my channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you know what other videos I'm posting. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.